Hi, everybody, and welcome to Simply Cards by Kathi. Today is Monday, October 28th, and I hope you're ready to have some fun using layering stencils and adding the technique of heat embossing to it to add a little bit to your design. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm happy you found me. I hope you'll like what you see and hit that subscribe button. And if you're with me live or catching me on the replay, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me or go back and watch the video. I have lots to show you, so I want to flip this camera down and we're going to get started. Okay, we are going to use the Frosted Forest bundle, and I am going to use this large stamp for the tree. And I'm also going to use the dies. Now, this is a bundle that comes with, I'm not going to use the dies. I'm going to use the layering stencils. This is also a stamp set or bundle that comes with the dies that cuts all these trees out. Hi, Mary. Thank you for joining me. So this bundle has 3 layering stencils for the evergreens and for both evergreens, the small and the large. It also has 3 layering stencils for the tree. And Mary says she loves this bundle. Me too, Mary. So hopefully I can teach you a trick or two of how to use this. Now, I want to show you the stencils before we get started, because the stencils are actually lettered for you so you can follow in the order of using them. And hopefully you can see that. I'm hoping you can see that little notch. If I set it on here, you can see it's notched out. And then by each notch is a letter. So you have A, B, and C, and that's how we're going to use them. So I am going to start off. Let me show you a couple of the cards so that you can see what we're doing. So this is one of them where I combined the stamp along with some of the layering stencils. And if you can see in there, I have some heat embossing of white so that it looks like there's snow on the branches. Now, there's another one here that's heat embossed. I actually use the layering stencils. And then there, hopefully you can see the sheen. This is embossed with a mixture of glitter, and I will tell you about that, and some clear embossing powder. So that's just another really fun look to your card. And the one I'm going to show you right now is what we're going to be doing. And I am going to show you a little bit of all of them. So this is using the stamp, the layering stencils, and then heat embossing with white along with some glitter. Now, I'm not a glitter person. I'm just not. And it just gets all over the place and it makes a mess. But I thought, everybody likes a little bit of glam. So let's try adding. I had some old glitter, don't even know where I got it from, and I used it. So we are going to use it today because I already have it mixed in my basic, in my white embossing powder. So hopefully you'll gain some tips and tricks. Now I am using a mat, a sticky mat, so that I can adhere my stencils. I always use a sticky mat. It's just easier for me. So I'm going to put my paper down, and you can see you want each of your stencils, those notches, to match up. So I am going to lay this right along the edge, and I cheated before we came on and figured where to put my paper. And I know that I'm lining corner to corner right along the edges. So, but if you're using paper underneath you and you tape your stencils down, one of the things you can do is take a pen or a pencil and just mark this little notch so that you can always match it up. And I think you can actually see it there. And that will wipe off for me. So I have this placed, and I've chosen 3 colors to use for my color scheme. Now, I really had a hard time picking the greens, which ones to use. So I'm going to show you what I did. I chose to use the color wheel, and this is coming out next week, I believe, or the week after. This will be for sale. So this I actually used, I wanted analogous colors. And if you go on the back, it explains all these for you. And these are color neighbors that work great together. So I chose soft seafoam, garden green, and shaded spruce. So those are the colors that I'm using for my card. So let's start. So the first thing I want to do before I add this is I want to stamp this large stamped image. So let's go ahead and we're going to do that in shaded spruce. And I want to layer this back down because this is going to guide me where to stamp. And I'm going to take my little pencil and I'm just going to line this up here at the tip and this right here. Just a small dot. Now, if you're not doing this right to size right away, which means I'm not going to cut this down, this is the size I'm going to use, just stamp it and then use your layering stencils to layer over it and then cut it down to size. So I'm just inking this up with shaded spruce. And I'm going to line up, if I can see, the tip right there. And just give it a good press. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and layer. And you can use these without the stamp. These are meant to be used on their own. So I'm going to go ahead in and line this up. And then I'm going to reposition my notch. Okay. So my notch is going to be right here, that lower one. Now I'm going to start with shaded spruce, and I'm going to bring in a piece of just copy paper folded in half. I'm going to be using one blending brush through the whole thing because I'm using greens and it's easy for me to clean off. So let's go ahead and ink this up. And I'm going to tap off and start off the paper onto that plastic. And I do want to show you how to clean these stencils. And I'm just nice, easy swirling. I'm barely pressing down. Okay, I'm pretty good with that. Let's pull that up and take a look here. Isn't that pretty? So there's our first part of our tree. Now I'm going to clean my brush off. And I'm just going to keep swirling it until it's pretty clean, which it looks like it is. And I'm going to flip it around. And I'm going to go to garden green now. So let me close this up. As you can see, I'm wearing a lot of green on my hands and nails today. And we're going to garden green. Now we're going to use the garden green with the letter B. So again, I'm going to come in here and line this up edge to edge using that little notch, and that's going to fill in where I'm going to add my green. So let me, I'm going to bring this down just a little bit more for you to see. Let me bring you down just a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to ink up with garden green. Now I'm going to tap off and start to swirling off. And we're going to add this. Now, again, I go light and I can always go back and add more. I can put more color on, but I can't take it off once it's there. So just going back and add some garden green. I want to brighten that up a little more, so I'm going to ink up and tap off, and then come back on here. And I think that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and peel off our stencil. And look at our tree. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so let me show you the next step. Now, the next step, I want to be able to add some snow. So I'm going to take stencil C. I'm going to line it up here. There we go. All right. Now, to add the snow, and before I even put that stencil on, because let's remove that for a minute because I forgot a step to show you. I am going to dry this lightly with my heat tool. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on number 1. And I'm going to show you in a minute why. Hi, Maria. Thanks for joining. I just remember when you apply this ink, it's wet. And if I add embossing powder to it, the embossing powder is going to stick all over it. So I just want to make sure this is dry. And that should be good. Okay. Now, before we put the stencil on, because I'm using embossing powder, I want to use my embossing buddy. And I'm just washed my hand or wiped my hand across it. And I just want to go over this and give it a good, take the static off and make sure that I'm not going to get any embossing powder. And you can see no ink came off. So it's pretty dry. I don't want to get embossing powder on the whole tree. I only want to get it on the portion of the stencil that's going to show. Now let me show you what happens if you don't use the embossing buddy. This, can you see that? I actually have embossing powder over the whole tree. So it really didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And this is what we got when we use the embossing buddy. So let's go ahead, and now we're going to take our Versamark. Okay, and I'm simply going to wipe the Versamark across the stencil so that it adheres to those open spaces on the stencil. Okay, and now we can just peel our stencil off. Okay, and hopefully you can see the Versamark on there. And I'm going to take this away because otherwise it's going to be full of embossing powder and glitter. So I'm going to bring in my embossing powder, and this is the Wow Basic White that's Stampin' Up! Sells. And again, I had glitter from somewhere that I have no idea where. It's been years. I added a little bit of that glitter to the embossing powder. And let's put this through one more time. Okay, and I'm going to move this off. Now, hopefully, you can see the embossing powder on the edges of the branches there. And we're going to go ahead and hit this with our heat gun. So, when you're using embossing powder, you want to put it on the setting number 2 if you're using a Stampin' Up! One. So I'm just going to let this heat up for a minute, and then we're going to heat emboss this. And let's move this off to the side. I stay about 6 inches above and I hold it and just wait until I can see that it's starting to turn shiny or melt. So let's go ahead, and you will be able to follow it around. Let's hold that up so you can see it. And there, hopefully you can see that it's turning. And I'm just slowly moving down the tree. You want to keep moving, because if you hold it in one place too long, you can burn your paper, but you can also flatten out your embossing powder. Okay, so here's our tree with the snow, and I'm hoping you can see that. Let's see here. So you have some nice mounds of snow on the branches. Okay, so let's go ahead and use this with a card. So I'm starting off with a card base that is soft seafoam, and it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I have shaded spruce. So we're going to go ahead, and I want to add this to my shaded spruce. So I'm going to grab some glue here, and we're just going to go right around the edges. So I'd love to know what you think of that technique of using your stencils. And I do want to show you how easy those stencils are to clean. Just going around to make sure it flattens out from the heat gun. And now we're going to add this to here. But before we do, I thought it'd be fun to add a bow. So I've got the shaded spruce satin ribbon that's in the new catalog. And we're going to just add it right here to the back. And I'm going to come over and just going to tie a knot. So let's do that. And actually, that's probably too much. Let's make it a little bit smaller. And hopefully you can see. Oh, Maria, you think the ribbon gives you a festive look? Or the embossing? I love this ribbon. So let's go ahead, and we're going to actually tie this in a bow, or in a knot, not a bow. And I want this mainly in the middle. So let's do that. And I'm going to pull that really pretty tight. And I'm going to hold it with my finger and just even out my ribbon. Okay, and give it a good pull. And I'm going to grab a glue dot and add it behind my ribbon. This is something I always do. It really helps me to anchor my ribbon down. So I'm just going to add a glue dot behind it. And that's going to anchor it for me. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim this off. And let's see where I put my scissors. And we're just going to tie a simple knot for a bow. So I'm just going to come in here and make sure that's tied well. And we're just going to tie a knot and then trim it down. So try to get it as square as I can. There we go. And trim that off. And do that very straight, did I? Let's see if I can straighten that up just a little bit. That looks good. Okay. Now, if you're worried about your bow staying anchored, just take another glue dot. You could adhere it ahead of time with tape runner, but I find the glue dot works just as well. I'm going to be adhering this to my card base anyway. And let's put that down. So let's add this right to nice even edges right there. Now, lots of ways you can decorate this. Okay, Maria, you like the embossing. Good, I'm glad. I was hoping you would. So now we can decorate this. Now let me show you what I did. With this one, I used our pearlized Enamel Effects in red. And here I used some of the, oh gosh, I forget what they're called. And they're right here with me. They are the adhesive back sparkle gems. So let's grab the gold Enamel Effects and add a little bit to this. So I have silver, I have gold. So I have the gold Enamel Effects. And if you're not familiar with these, they just add little dots and they're going to look like little spikes. Thanks, Debbie. I'm glad you like it. But you want to let them dry. Now, I added these maybe an hour ago. I had the fan on above me. They were dry in 15 minutes, but you don't want to handle them until they're dry. You have a nice tip on this, and let me just put this right on here to show you. You just need light pressure. You can see it kind of has a little spike to it, but then it forms just a circle. So let's add one here. And let's add one over here. We're not going to go crazy, although it's easy to do with this. And I'm going to add one over here. And just till that you feel you're comfortable with however many you have added. Let's go here. I love these. And the other thing that you can do with these is you can go right along here and put them on your silicone mat. Mine's not out, so you see me putting it on here, and let them dry. Once they're dry, you can pick them up just like a gem and put a dot of glue down and adhere them to your card front or wherever it is you want to put them. So lots of things you can do with these enamel effects. And we're just going to add a few more here and one here. All right, and we're going to let that sit and dry. So let me move that off to the side. I am going to put the fan on above me, so if these dry, I can show you what they did. So I think it's important to show you, and I hope you'll hang with me, how to clean these. Because these are really have some fine detail in them. And if you clean them too rough, you can actually bend, like I did this tip here, and it kind of distorts when you're using them. So when I'm cleaning, I'm just taking a microfiber cloth, and let me grab one here. I have it over to the side. I found it, and let's not hit these. Put these down on even a paper towel, microfiber cloth. You can also take them to the sink and wipe them down with a paper towel and just wet them. I use my Stampin' Mist, and I'm just going to spritz it lightly, and then take your paper towel or your microfiber cloth and just gently wipe it away. And then I go over on the other side, and this cloth is already wet enough. And usually nothing has gone through to the other side, but I clean it off. Now the same thing with the Versamark. This is the one where we use the Versamark ink, and I don't know if you can see it there, but this will clean with some warm water at the sink, or just take your microfiber cloth or your paper towel and gently wipe it away. And they're like brand new. So they're very, very easy to clean and get ready to use for the next time. So let me bring you back to me. We're going to bring, are these still wet? Yeah, they are. So let me wipe those away so we don't get them on our card. And I'm going to put all these cards out so you can see them. This one is still drying, and I forgot to put our greeting on here. We have a Merry Christmas, so let's do that real quick because I got busy showing you how to do the cleaning. And then we'll take a look at all the cards and bring it back to me. So let's add this. So really fun if you like coloring other than just with Stampin' Blends or pencils. This is a great, I love using layering masks. They're just so much fun. So here's our card. Let's bring this one in. And let's bring this one. Now, the one thing I wanted to tell you on this one, after I did my layering masks and heat embossed it, I ran it through with the Snowflake Sky embossing folder, and look at the great texture that you have with that Christmas tree. So lots of different techniques to add. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up. It helps me grow my channel. Feel free to share the video. I hope you'll give this technique a try. You can do it with all the layering masks we have, even the flowers. Imagine some of the sheen and shine you could add to with just adding even some Versamark and clear embossing powder. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great week. I'll be back with you Thursday evening. Stay safe and well, and give this technique a try.